So, I've been busy this morning. I've been creating all sorts of documents and stuff. The first thing I created was a launch manifest. That is not complete. We'll talk about it a little bit today, the launch manifest. I also changed the... I can't remember what the document was called before, but basically I have, from scratch, pretty much created an introduction to the Mk4. Sorry, every time I'm trying to move my microphone so it's in the most ideal position, and every time I move it, there's a little loose connection up on the top, and I really need a new microphone, but I don't have the funds to be able to do that at the moment, unfortunately. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I've kind of changed around my bullet-pointed text document that we created right at the beginning of when we were planning out the Mk4 save, and I've turned it into a full document. I think it's like a 4 or 5 page, 7 pages, Jesus, a 7-page document which kind of details everything that goes on in the Mk4 save, so that anyone coming new into the save for the first time can read through this and there we go, I just made it 6 pages. I can read through this fairly quickly and easily, and hopefully without hopefully it will explain itself, but I thought I would explain all of this now on stream. That's a full-time job. What, the 7-page document? Well, I thought we could read through the whole document now and then just explain it. I've got it recorded on then we'll have it recorded on the VODs and stuff, so that anyone coming in midway through can kind of have really this should have been right at the beginning when we first started the save, but I was kind of a little bit lazy creating this document. But once this document is done, I'm not going to touch it. This is just there. It's there for people to read and things, like coming into the save for the first time. Like, this is the introduction to the save, because this save is a lot more complicated than the Mk3 save was. And what I was finding with the Mk3 save was that new people coming into the save, I was having to stop the stream, stop what I was doing, and explain everything and what all the individual rules and stuff meant. It didn't quite have the information there. Now, we can literally just say, !WombleX, this is the document you want, have a read through this. It kind of explains everything, hopefully. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. So anyway, this is the introduction document. I wrote a little introduction to the introduction document. So basically, I put like a brief summary of what went on. So back at the end of April 2021, the old Mk3 WombleX save got corrupted. Tried as I might, I could not fix the issue, and so nearly 2 years worth of work was lost forever. I'm exaggerating a little bit there. It wasn't quite 2 years worth. It was like 2 months worth. But the save in its entirety, we had going for nearly 2 years. I lost 2 months worth of work, but I didn't want to redo that 2 months and just have further problems along the line. So we pretty much created the new one. But I didn't want to go into too much detail there. I think that sums it up pretty well. Also, this is the first time I'm reading through this after writing it. I only finished writing this like half an hour ago, so we might be proof checking some of this as we go. Anyway, let's continue. However, this gave me a very special and unique opportunity with Kerbal. Start over and make a new save, more engaging with the community and more enjoyable for me, more engaging with the community and more enjoyable for me to play. We got together on a live stream to determine what was good and bad about the old save. We chose what we wanted to keep and what we and you know what, I'm repeating myself. And what we wanted to change. One of the most asked for suggestions was chat-created contracts, which I had talked about implementing in the past, but the opportunity never arose. Another change I personally wanted to make was to get rid of the contract grind that came with hard mode of the old save, and saves before that actually, but that's immaterial. Focus on bigger, more challenging missions. In the 2 years I played the Mark III save, we never once made to the Duna transfer window to send anything out that way. Basically, we still didn't get to the Duna transfer window, and in the Mark II save, we didn't even make it to the Duna transfer window then. So this is now 2 WombleX saves back to back where we haven't made it as far to Duna, which is ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. Like, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's unacceptable. I've got 2,000 hours in the game. I should go to Duna. Again, I have been to Duna. I've done all of Duna. I've done all of Kerbal. It's just that the WombleX saves were all about doing it, but then doing it better, in a better way, sustainably. So that's important to know. What did I get up to? Because the end goal was to eventually colonize Duna, I feel I failed that in a catastrophic way, which I did. I failed in the WombleX Mark III. As good and as much fun as we had on that, it was an ultimate failure, because that's now finished. So we failed to, twice in the row. Mark II and Mark III were failures. And so for the Mark IV save was born. This doc provides all the information that you need to get up to scratch with the save and how to participate, whether as a contract customer, a viewer coming into Kerbal for the first time, or generally just watching along as I attempt to push my boundaries and abilities in the game. Thanks for reading, Womble. So that's kind of like the introduction. That's just the summary, I guess. I guess I should put a summary there, but introduction works. Setup. On day one of the science tree, the science tree started where the Mark III left off. Because we started about with 2/3 of the tech tree complete, we can't go to the Mun or Minmus to farm science until after we have been out to Duna and beyond. Hey Buzz, how's it going? We're just reading through my document here. Oh no, I messed up all of these. That's okay. We'll go through that in a sec. That's irritating, actually. Anyway, okay, well, we'll go through that and fix that as we go. Yeah, we'll do that. Indentations are important. We unlocked all wait. What was I saying? We can't go to the Mun or Minmus to farm science until after we have been out to Duna and beyond. So we can't farm science from the Mun or Minmus until after. That was one of the... Because I didn't want to start the tech tree from the beginning, because that's boring, right? So we kind of like... It's kind of like a soft reboot. It's not a full reboot, it's a soft reboot. We also unlocked all facilities as they were in the Mark III save. After the setup was completed, we had 1.5 funds in our account. This is for us to set up our space infrastructure, which will be launched in the first 5 to 6 launches of the save. The space infrastructure will include communication satellites around Kerbin. I should probably put 3 communication... Oh, wait, no. Just communication sats around Kerbin, Mun, and Minmus. A small Kerbin space station, which we haven't launched yet, and I want to do a bit of tweaking to that craft file, actually, before we do that. You can get science on legit missions to the Mun. Yeah, so if I go... Because we kind of went to pretty much all the biomes on the Mun, I kind of want to avoid science farming on the Mun. at all. Same with Minmus. We kind of went to all the biomes. We didn't do all of the science on all of the biomes, but we did visit all the biomes. So I kind of don't want to complete the tech tree by going to places that we went to in the Mark III save. The Mark IV save is all about going out to the outer planets, as well as the Mun. We'll still be doing stuff around the Mun and Minmus and things, mainly like fuel refineries and maybe like science posts and things like that. But I want to go out to the outer planets in this save a little bit more, and working out the infrastructure and the architecture to do that with my gameplay set. So yeah, for the start, we're not allowed to. You see, this hasn't done very well, actually. This isn't bullet pointing correctly. Yeah. This isn't bullet pointing correctly, and it's annoying me. Oh no, I don't want that one. I want the arrows. Anyway. The space infrastructure will include communication satellites and small satellites. We started off... okay, so we also started off with 12 Kerbals from the Mark III save, including resurrected fallen heroes. So basically Bill and Tykin, those are the only two losses of the Mark III save. During the first 100 days of the new save, we will train the Kerbals by launching them on a trip to either Minmus orbit or Mun orbit, depending on their importance. So basically the orange coats will go out to Minmus, so they get more experience points. I think anyone else will go to the Mun, so that they have a lower experience point. So basically my orange coats, Val, Jeb, Bill and Bob will have the most experience. That's what I want. Poor inner planets. Wonder if they feel left out. We'll still be doing stuff with the moons and stuff, but yeah. To the Mun and Minmus. We will still be doing stuff. We're just not gonna farm the science there, Buzz. I can still collect science, but I'm just not allowed to farm it. That's key. Because if I farm the science around on the Mun, or anywhere on Kerbin, or anything like that, anywhere in the Kerbin sphere of influence, if I farm science, I've completed the tech tree. That's boring. I thought orbiting either gave the same XP. I think Minmus, you get a little bit more XP for orbiting Minmus. Well, we'll find out, Buzz, because I've always suspected it was the other way around. But anyway, we'll find out when I do it. Rules. So a lot of this rule set is pretty much the same as the Mark III save, apart from I have I've added a few things. So and these are subject to change as we go through the game, and like as I'm kind of like finding my feet in the save, these will be subject to change. So hard mode with no reverts, 0 exceptions, Kerbals will die. I think that one's key. That one's the most important one. The Mark IV save is solely a vanilla game save. That's also a key one because we can't do chat created contracts with that, right? Like we can't do that with mods. We need to try to create to use realistic craft, no over the top asparagus staging, basically. That's the same as before. Can only launch a single SLV, small lift vehicle, every 2 days from a single launch pad. That's the same. Can only launch a single medium lift vehicle every 6 days from a single launch pad. Can only launch a single HLV every 12 days from a single launch pad. Can only launch a single super heavy lift vehicle every 36 days from a single launch pad. I did say I was tempted to change these figures, but I don't think there's that much point in changing them because we're going to be time warping a lot more anyway. Than what we have in the past. So I'm going to keep those in so that we can plan missions around this, but this is a really low estimate. Like, a lot of the vehicles will not be used as often as what I was doing in the old save. The old save, we got up to day 200 and launch 75. So I launched 75 things in 200 Kerbal days, which is a quick turnaround. That's not going to be the case with this save. We've already got up to like day 40 or something, and we've only launched like 3 things. So bear that in mind. If a Kerbal has got back from a mission, they can't go out on another mission for at least 14 days plus 50% of the last mission duration. I kind of want to keep that. That 14-day standard it was a pretty good thing. I might increase the 50% to a... Yeah, no, we might increase that 50%. We'll see. But the base thing is there is always a 14-day rest and recovery, which all the Kerbals will be doing that anyway. With the death of a Kerbal at Kerbin, all manned flight related to that death gets grounded for 200 days while a serious review is taken on the program. Again, that hasn't changed. We might tweak that a little bit. Because hopefully we're not going to just stay at Kerbin. So I might tweak that at some point. We'll see. Staying in low Kerbin orbit is not acceptable. Need to push out to other planets. That is that's a new rule, and that's important. The first main mission that we are going to do is the Duna space station mission, which we've kind of already prepped for. I need to go through everything of that and just make sure all the craft files are up to date, because, yeah. All launches must be planned in advance and put in the mission log document as to be determined. We can't just slate a launch and then launch it right away. Basically, if say Buzz redeems a payload to geosynchronous orbit, and you then send me the document, like the craft file, then that day, I can't launch it that day. I've got to plan out the mission, and we've got to put it into the launch the WombleX mission log, observing all of these rules. So yeah, I mean, if I've got a big mission and we're in the middle of launch mode for the big missions, it will wait until after all of that, right? If there's not any big mission launches planned, then we can bump it up a little bit. But yeah, it'll be determined as and when. But yeah, anyway, I think that's a good rule to have. Main mission focus. To avoid the long slog of current contract grind that comes with the career mode in Kerbal, we will create... Actually, that comes with career hard mode, I'll put there. It is only in hard mode that you get that long contract grind. We'll create community polls to determine what my main focus will be. These will be announced towards the end of the last mission completion, and anyone and everyone can vote on the outcome of the poll. They will be solely public. Hey Infi, how's it going, my dude? We're just going through this new document that I've wrote up this morning. It is free to access for anyone else coming new into the WombleX save, and I'm hoping that it's nice and clear and I don't have to explain any further than this. I think this is hopefully this will be very self-explanatory. It just saves me having to explain this like over and over and over and over and over again, which is what I was doing in the past. Once we have a mission in focus, this is the sole purpose of the space program to complete. Main mission focuses will be either big builds or long duration infrastructure design and launches. All of the big focus missions will have a design, testing, and planning phase, where we can get the mission logs ready for launches in mission mode. New craft will probably be built during this phase. During these phases, I should probably put. During these phases, because it's not just one. So yeah, I think that's self-explanatory. We do building design, we then test it, and then we plan it. It's as simple as that. I'm gonna put a space there. Funding. Every main focus mission will have designated funds for each project. At the end of the mission, when all goals are completed successfully, we will get the funds back plus 10% to count as a profit margin. So the reason why I'm keeping that profit margin as low is because my my funding for the projects, I will overfund the projects to give into, like, say, launches that could go wrong, so then we've got a little bit of extra funds in the bank, right? So that's why the profit margins are so low, is because the main profit will be from the funding that we've determined at the beginning. If we fail a mission, I haven't put this in the document, maybe we should. If we fail the mission, we don't get the funding back. We don't get... So basically, at the end of the mission, like, so at the beginning of the mission, we get the initial funds. We said, right, no, actually... Yeah, at the beginning of the mission, we say, look, this is how much... This is our budget. That's the right word. This is our budget. At the end of the mission, we get that budget plus 10%. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. No. Might have to come back to this. We might have to think about this a little bit more. I'll come back to this at a later date. Community contract missions will have their own funding parameters, which is described in the community contract section. Yeah, so funding, I'm still a bit sketchy on. We need to come back to that. Kerbals. Any additional Kerbals we recruit after the first 12 Kerbal Nauts will be formed into Kerbal Naut classes. We will hire 6 at a time in the cheap menu. Then those Kerbals have to complete career-specific tasks to become operational. Each Kerbal group has to have a 100-day training time. Training day time. I don't know how to word that correctly. Pilots will be stationed in a building near the astronaut complex and will have to log 3 supersonic flights in a J4K supersonic jet, one of which includes landing on the island runway, which gives me a chance to use the island runway, right? All flights have to be within the 100-day training period. That may be what yeah. So each Kerbal group has to have a 100-day training period. That's probably the best way of explaining that. Scientists will have a science base module built just north of the research and development building. They have to complete 3 EVAs to perform scientific data back at the lab. The research will last 100 days, so that they have to be on site for 100 days, basically. Engineers will be stationed in a building near the astronaut complex. Each engineer will need to perform 3 ground servicing operations, which will include ground observations of boosters before launch, and I'll think of other things that they can do. Maybe like vehicle repairing or ground infrastructure stuff when we get space planes and stuff set up. If we get space planes and stuff set up, I would like to do them in a way where we never recover the space plane, the SSTO, that is. So I like to do it fully integrated things, and the engineers the trainee engineers will be the ones that will be working in teams like that. Once the Kerbals are active, they must... So basically ground crew. Ground crew. Once the Kerbals are active, they must have crew rotation of stations and bases depending on where they are. E.g., Duna stations last approximately 2 years with some overlap. We are allowed overlap. I think that... I think the Duna expeditions can maybe be like an upper limit of 4 years, which is basically, that means that they've got 2 transfer windows to be able to come back. And if they have to come back on the second transfer window, back to Kerbin. I think that's the best way to do it. So we always have a constant rotation going around on the stations, basically. This will give time for R&R after long duration missions. That's also important, having R&R. For a fixed fee, you can create a Kerbal using channel points. Kerbals you create can be named what you like within reason. No offensive names or stupid names. and can be given a job type of your choice. Once the Kerbal has been confirmed, they will be put into the next Kerbal Naut group and assigned to missions at the discretion of WombleX after their training is complete. The price of a Kerbal will be high unless there is a large need for a certain type of skilled Kerbals. Then we will have like sales. Basically, I'll just adjust the price depending on what I need. Tourist Kerbals. Chat can also create a one-time use Kerbal to go on a tourist trip available. The destination of the trips are predetermined, so we can't just launch a tourist to Elu without the valid infrastructure in place. Tourist Kerbals will be locked until the infrastructure has been built to a level that accommodates tourism. So basically we're not doing tourism until much later in the career. The only place that I will be doing to start off with is low curb in orbit. That's pretty much it. In fact, I could probably do that now. We could probably like launch a Union capsule with 2 tourists and a pilot, and that's it. They have a couple of orbits and then they come back. That's tourism, and you guys can do that. You can purchase tourism tickets and stuff, but I'm not gonna. I'll hold off on that until much later on in the save. Community contracts. You can purchase flights in my WombleX Mk4 save by redeeming channel points. Each type of lifter costs a different amount of pocket fluff. Pocket fluff, I'm going to change that to something else. We're going to change channel points to something else. I haven't sorted out the channel points just yet. So, yeah. But, whatever. Well, I'll figure out a better name for it. The rewards for completion of a customer contract is always always the in-game launch cost plus 50%. So we don't get a penny until after the launch, right? So we have to make sure that we've got the funds in our bank account before we do these contracts. But it's launch cost plus 50%, and then we cheat menu in the reward at the completion. If WombleX fails to get the payload into its designated transfer orbit, then we take a compensation hit of the cost of the payload. Basically, the way I'm simulating that is that I insure your payload. So basically, I have to pay for your payload twice, because I pay for it in the initial funds for the initial launch. I launch it, I fail, then I pay it again for the payload. Don't have to reimburse the booster because we've already paid for that. It's basically the compensation that we're giving to you. I mean, you don't get anything back. I might refund the channel points. Yeah, I might refund the channel points. That might be what we do as well for you, so you guys can do other things. But hey, all the rewards and penalties to be done in the Alt F12 cheat menu. The boosters will only get the payload on a transfer. It is the job of the customer to design and test their payloads for anything after the job of the booster has been completed. Basically, if you ask for a geo orbit and the satellite doesn't have enough delta V or electric charge, etc., to reach the designated orbit, then that is the fault of the customer, not WombleX, and a charge will be deducted from your account, which means that I get the reward back anyway. If my booster has done its job and put the payload on a transfer orbit, and then I lose control because the craft is poorly designed, and it doesn't get its thing, we delete the craft file from the save, it's gone, but I still get the rewards. I think that's fair. Because then that means that if you send me a contract with like an iron bar and you put this on a geostationary transfer orbit and I want this to be in a geo orbit, well, tough. Like, it's not going there. I will control the satellites and payloads and whatever after they have launched. I will control. I will do that, right? And if I make a mistake with the satellite, so for instance, I forget to extend the solar panels which are on the craft, you will get the refund. So if it's something that I do that is wrong, then I take the hit. But if it's something that you have poorly designed, like you forgot a an antenna and we lose communication, that's not my problem, you know? It's not my problem. If you forgot to put on a communication thing, or you haven't told me how to, or yeah, if you haven't told me like action groups to maybe set to do something to make sure that the thing functions correctly, the satellite or the payload functions correctly, that's your fault. That's not mine.